I have played a lot of ROM hacks in my day, and probably half of those, by a conservative estimate, are Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. This is my go-to, it's my bread and butter. I love Super Mario 64 mods, and I have played a million of them, and what I've discovered is that Mario 64 ROM hacks generally come in three sizes. You have the 6-piece nugget hacks. These are mini hacks with like single-digit star counts, if they have stars at all. These are super brief games that can be beaten or otherwise experienced in under a 45-minute playthrough, sometimes less. And they typically follow some narrow theme or gimmick, like Mario in the Backrooms or SM64.Z64. Then you have the Happy Meal size hacks. These usually have like 30 to 50 stars and will run you somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 3.5 hours. This is stuff like Lost Dreams, which I played back on day 9. Then you got the Royale with Cheese hacks. These hacks have at the very least 100 stars, but can go as high as 150 or even in the 160s at the extreme end. While there is some occasional overlap and some ambiguities concerning progression, like how maybe some hacks aren't all about stars or whatever, most hacks I found tend to fit in those ranges. Now this, right here, this is Universal Constellation. Using food as the metric, most ROM hacks are like a healthy quantity of food. They're what you might eat in a day. Universal Constellation is like an epic mealtime video. Did I just date myself with that reference? Oh, jeez. This is a big game that does not end. This is a Vegas-style buffet of a Mario 64 ROM hack. It just does not stop. See that star counter in the top right? 152 or something? Surely I must be near the end, right? Nope, not even close. This is intended to be the biggest Super Mario 64 ROM hack ever made, and in its current state, it goes on for at least 400 stars in total. That's an obscenely high number. And would you believe that this version is the demo version? Yeah, apparently the plans for the full game include as many as 800 stars. Let me say that again, 800. The original game has 120, so if you do the math, this game is over 6.5 times bigger. Whenever I talk about ROM hacks and fan games, one of my big concerns is always, alright, I want to show off this game, but I don't want to spoil too much of it. With this game, that is not a concern. I physically cannot spoil a game that is this big. This could have been one of my long play style videos where I just do live impromptu commentary on it and I still couldn't spoil it for you. If you went back to 2011 and told my 13-year-old self who just figured out how to get Super Mario 74 working that there would one day be a Super Mario 64 ROM hack with 400, let alone 800 stars across 3 billion different levels, I would explode into a ball of black fire. It would have been the only thing I played for 2 straight months. Of course, as a game in a time-sensitive marathon that I have to write, record, and edit, it's kinda scary. But here I am. Alright, so Universal Constellation is a collaboration between a whole bunch of ROM hackers for the express purpose of making the biggest ROM hack ever made. The biggest ROM hacks I've seen outside of this one usually tap out in the mid to high 100s, so I wouldn't be surprised if they already broke that record just with this demo alone. From level design to level size to visual attitude and even music, it is not really possible to broadly describe any solitary aspect of the game, because this is the collaborative effort of 3 billion different ROM hackers, all with their unique flares and sensibilities. There isn't really a broad unifying theme with Universal Constellation, other than the fact that it's all Super Mario 64 levels. That ends up being really exciting, because I never knew what kind of crazy shit the next level was gonna pull. From one level to the next, everything about it will be completely different. This is the type of game that will consistently surprise you because of this. If you've been playing Mario 64 ROM hacks as much as I have, you are going to recognize a lot of these familiar names. It's kind of like Subspace Emissary, but for ROM hackers, and for that alone, I'd say this is an instant recommendation. It's like the ROM Hacker Hall of Fame. I feel like everybody gets what they want from this ROM hack, you know what I mean? I like this black and white city where you dive underwater through an upside down reflection of that city. That was crazy. There's also tick-tock, click-clock, woodblock, woodstock, Mr. Fox and Socks, sir. This level takes click-clock wood very literally. It's the woods, and there are definitely clocks in there. Look at this, there's all these pipes with raw sewage coming out. That's not a joke, by the way. You literally swim upstream and end up in a toilet, and then there's one single bomb on the toilet. All of this shit from this one little guy. That is not healthy. One thing that I love about this game is the pacing. For a game that is bigger than the universe, oh, that's why it's called Universal Constellation. But it moves along at a brisk enough pace that you don't really want to put it down. At least that's how it was for the levels that were reasonably challenging. Every single level will have a handful of stars in it, and they're usually just sitting around hiding somewhere, locked behind a typical platforming puzzle. And when you grab them, it doesn't even kick you out. It just lets you keep on trucking until there's nothing left. They also don't have any 100 coin stars, although there is this new challenge where you slam a blue coin brick, and then you have to collect all the blue coins in the time limit to get a star. Those parts are a lot of fun. There are also no tutorials and very little dialogue, so you end up going through the game very efficiently. There are a number of levels where you can jump in and just sweep it in 5 to 10 minutes, and best of all, the overworld is pretty much completely open and just lets you jump into any level you want instead of locking them behind a star door. So if a level is giving you a hard time, it's not a big deal because you can just jump right back out and go somewhere else. On that note, it is worth noting that I've heard some complaints about the difficulty, and yeah, some levels are definitely way more difficult than others, but the game has a number of safety nets to help you out. For one thing, when you die, it just puts you at the start of the level and most of the progress you made still remains. This allows certain levels to be challenging without being a relentless assembly line of unbearable agony, at least until the endgame levels that are straight up just labeled Kaizo. Yeah, there's an entire Kaizo section of the game. If you come here, you're a f***ing freak. I love the overworld for this game. It's a simple idea that has been given the attention to detail that it deserves. Walking around this world is like walking through a museum exhibit dedicated to the history and canon of Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. It's basically a never-ending hallway full of pipes that all lead to their own levels, and all of them come with a picture of the person who made it, and a tiny little diorama made in the style of the individual level, kinda to give you a taste of what it's gonna be like. I just love that. That is incredible. Universal Constellation is a game that is impossible to summarize because there is just too much of it to summarize. This is a variety selection with so many different design paradigms and sensibilities represented at one point or another. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it has a little something for everyone. And it makes you really feel like Mario. Speaking of Mario, we're gonna be seeing Mario again tomorrow, just as long as you got a telescope. Merry Christmas, everyone!